Windows, huge vulnerability issue, also a safety issue. Different ways of addressing the safety aspect. Anyone ever go through a window? Anyone ever have a limb go through a window? Jay, was it like the movies where you just bounce through and you jump and you roll on the other side? Or?
No, there was blood spurting everywhere. I passed out from the blood loss.
Glass can kill you. Windows are almost fatal. I mean, they are bad things. Yeah, very dangerous. Different ways we can address that. Tempered glass, also called shatterproof, not really, but it breaks into duller shards. It doesn't have that razor kind of quality to it. Wired glass, you can see the actual mesh inside of it where it crumples and it actually holds the glass in. Laminated, that safety glass sandwich that's in the windshield. One of the problems that came out in automotive security technology when safety glass was first introduced was we weren't using seat belts. What did safety glass do? What was the apocryphal thing that kept happening with windshields?
People kept going through them, but not really.
They'd launch out and it would flex outward, then gravity would pull you back and it would close around you again. Seat belts kept you in the seat. So, yeah, that was a good thing. Bullet-resistant glass, 1 1/4 inch thick, stop a 9mm round, supposedly. Glass breaking can be used in your intrusion detection system. You can set sensors to hear it. You can set sensors to feel it. You can have sensors that do both. There is also a technology, ball and spring, that can be put in windows. Anyone see these in home security systems? Anybody know what they do? They're little pop-ups. When you close the window, the ball and the spring is compressed. If the window is opened and the system has not been deactivated, it pops up and makes that contact and sets off the alarm. Interesting stuff. Garages. We talked about parking. 2 big threats in garages. Number 1 is crime. The first one they talk about is crime, but the one that's more important, the one that's more likely to cause damage, is the cars themselves. Traffic accidents. We kill people in cars. We kill people with cars. So that's something we have to really be careful about. You want signs posted everywhere. You want the cameras. You want it well lit. And because the garage is a gate through your perimeter into your area, you want to make sure that the garage access goes straight to your reception, that it's going to be processed the same way that somebody walking through the front door would be. Your interior intrusion detection systems. There are different ways to do it. You can mount a magnet along the top, bottom, or edge of a door so that it's a contact, and that every time that contact is broken, that can trigger the alarm, or at least an intrusion setting. I have had bad experiences with these. I will not name the vendor, but I've seen people actually just walk up and pull the door open and the magnet release. Not as a fail-safe measure, not as fail-secure. They opened it up and it just released. Even when the techs came out and told me, no, that did not happen. I watched it happen. Yeah, I've seen that. I'm not quite so sure I trust these. Motion-activated cameras. Those can be set to intrusion as well. They can alarm when they detect those motion. Acoustic sensors, we've seen those in movies all the time. Tom Cruise hanging over the thing on the wires and whatnot, right? Infrared beams, if you break it again. Passive infrared, again, gathering data from somebody moving through the area. And there's all sorts of mix and match on your interiors. Visitor control, getting into a secure area. Sign in, sign out log. Why do we use this? What if someone just comes in and signs Mickey Mouse? I mean, why are we still bothering to do this at all?
At least then you have a record that somebody showed up.
Yeah. And often, what do we include when they're signing in and out?
Timestamp.
Their time. You should have the guard take part in this process. Another layer of security you can put on that is have the guard check it against an ID. So even if they're signing Mickey Mouse, they have to have an ID that says Mickey Mouse. Have the guard look the person in the eyes, Again, it's an intimidation thing. It's a deterrent. You want them to think they're going through one more step of security. Visitors, you make them wear that badge of shame, right? And if someone forgets their badge that morning, they have to wear the visitor badge of shame, and everybody knows they forgot their badge this morning, and they have to ask you for help to go to the bathroom because they can't badge their way in and out. And it has the big red V on it. No, that's the aliens that have the big V. All right. Time limit. If they're still signed in and they haven't signed out, the guards go fetch them, right? Another useful thing here to include is to have them signed out to a trusted party, that there will be a minder assigned to them for that time. And the guards can contact that person. That's an employee of the organization. That person becomes responsible for their own visitors. Securing those areas. Again, we talked about making sure the wire closet is locked up properly. Same thing with your data centers. The racks themselves, does anyone lock the racks independent from the room? Good. Does anyone have intrusion detection systems on each individual rack or access control for each rack where you're logging access to the racks? I've seen some places do that. I've seen telcos do that. Because they want to know which, even though their personnel are trusted, they want to know who accessed which rack when as part of their change management program, so that they can go back and actually one tech can question another tech about what it was that they did if the documentation isn't sufficient. Again, you're going to secure the area, and you want to have surge protection. Lightning can fry electronics even in the 21st century. You want to have some grounding there. You want to have an UPS set up that's not going to fry too. Again, when it comes to utilities and power, you want that generator either on the roof or in the basement, depending on which risk you like better. You want power supply to be instant failover. You want to have an UPS if possible. Getting access to that work area, it's only those people who have the need to know. They are the ones who should have access, right? You want to, in those areas, be able to detect if someone has gone through there. You want all sorts of different kinds of access denial. The drywall. Is drywall going to keep somebody out? No. Again, it's to detect if someone tried to get in. True floor to true ceiling means?
No plenum.
No raised floors, no dropped ceilings, right? It goes all the way up to the actual construction itself, so somebody can't just crawl through like a Tom Cruise kind of thing. That guy's scrawny and he can get in anywhere. Gotta keep him out. Including putting bars in your ducts. Why? Because the way into the secret volcano lair is always through the HVAC ducts, right? Instead of making them clear, which I've never understood, why don't we just have Habitrail ducts? What's wrong with that? Wouldn't that be perfect? And Bruce Willis is trying to crawl through and they just look at him, there's Bruce, That would be awesome. That'd be perfect. X09 locks. Are we still using X09s? What's the X09? It's that big rotating one, and I think aren't we beyond X09s now? Aren't we up to the X10s? And let's go with X09s. All right. And sound masking. We want to dampen sound. Why do we want to dampen sound? So we can detect malicious sound. We can detect attackers trying to get in. Data centers. Again, put the defense in depth concept. Don't rely on the single lock on the single door. Two-person integrity in a data center? Maybe. Maybe you don't want one person alone at any given time inside there. Makes it real hard to go to the bathroom during an 8-hour shift, but it's possible. It's possible. Can anyone think of a work environment where you have two-person integrity at all times? Down in that missile silo. They're living down there for 96 hours. They're down there together. Make sure you've got the equipment protected as well. You want to make sure that the traffic going over the lines have been encrypted, or they're alarmed if they have been breached or if anyone hooks into them in any way. Your intrusion detection systems have to be protected to the level of the information they're supposed to be protecting. That just makes sense. If I can mask my own intrusion by defeating your IDS, then I've got access to your information and you don't know about it. Secure the devices themselves. Again, if I can touch the box, I can own it. And that goes for both exterior and interior. Housings, tamper-resistant enclosures, what have you. All right, the equipment. We talked some about this as well. Tag it. RFID is very popular right now and very cheap. What's one of the downsides to RFID? What won't RFID work in a certain environment? What kind of environmental issues can impact RFID?
The competing radio frequency.
Okay, all right. Depending what you're using in your environment. Okay. What else? Because it's radio, what are some of the problems with RFID in the environment, the structure you're working in? In my house, why would it be difficult to use?
Well, RFID is not going to have that kind of distance anyways.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it's not, you can't. Yeah. You can't. It's going to be very, very limited based on the composites themselves. What's another problem with it? Can't get them wet. Can't get them wet for some reason. We were doing some field sampling, and I wanted to implement RFID adhesive because they're flexible now and because they're very thin. I wanted to put them on the sampling jars for taking environmental samples. And we were doing groundwater sampling. Can't get them wet. The manufacturer will not warranty them when they actually get damp. Yet. We'll see. I'm sure they'll fix that. Portable media protection. Anyone have those cable locks for their laptop? They work?
As long as you remember to lock them to something.
Yeah. Do most desks in most workplaces have good places to put those locks? Not really. It's hard to wrap them around. I haven't been impressed with those all that much. Passwords, sure. Encrypting it, we talked about that. If it can travel and it's encrypted, you're just giving somebody more time to try to break the encryption.